Hello everyone, my name is Vicky. If you are new to the software, then there are a few options available to you for setting up your employer and employees. First of all, I just bring to your attention here, if I click on the Import Employers button, if you used one of the softwares that you can see on screen here in the previous tax year, then we do have direct import facilities to bring across your employer and employee details from the software that you are using. Okay, so you just select the option applicable to you. At this time of year, you're likely to be doing start at beginning of the tax year here, and that will bring across your basic employer and employee information for you quite seamlessly. As an alternative to that, you may wish to set up your company from scratch, and to do that, you're going to select Create New Employer. Just click on Next here. Now, BrightPay will now ask you just for you to instruct how you would like to use the software. So, if you're commencing payroll at the start of the tax year, you will select Start at the beginning of the tax year here. You then have the option to select Start partway in the tax year, and also to continue partway in the tax year. And this third option will be used by those of you who are migrating to BrightPay maybe mid-tax year, and you wish to, basically start off from where you had left off in your previous software, so you have payroll records to bring in and year-to-date totals. So that will be the option you choose there. I'm just going to start at the beginning of the tax year here, click on Next. Okay, you'll then ask for your basic employer information, so your employer registration number and employer name and address. I'm going to just use a little cheat key here. Just change my company name. Okay, and I'm going to click on Next. On the next screen, if you wish to organize your employees into departments, simply enter the department names that you wish to use. Again, my little cheat key has filled some names in already for me. Now, these departments can subsequently be used in your payroll processing and analysis reports once you're in the software. And more departments can be added at a later date if needed. Alternatively, if you don't wish to use departments, you can skip this step by clicking on Next. Then on this screen, you are now asked about your typical employee. Now, these settings will be used as the default when adding a new employee into the software, but can be changed on an individual basis if required. So all you need to do is select the settings that you would like to use as default. Okay, so I'll say that I want my employees to be set to a weekly pay frequency every time I set up a new employee record, that I want their pay method to be check, for example. Okay, and I'm going to click on Next when complete. Now, it is always recommended that you protect your payroll data, and so we do advise setting a password at the prompt here. So I'm going to tick to use a password and enter the password of my choice. Okay, and that password will be needed then every time you access this employer file going forward. I'm now ready to save and finish, and I will now be prompted to save my employer file. And you can simply save this to a location on your C drive, or if you're in a bureau environment where you have a server or a central location where you save your files to, by all means save your employer files to somewhere like a server, network, or cloud environment. So I'm just going to click on Save here, and this will now set up my company for me. Now, before you can process any payroll, you'll now need to add in your employee records. For those of you who have imported from another payroll provider for whom we offer an import facility, your employee records will already be set up for you in the employees utility. We do a couple of options available to you now to set up your employees. One of the easiest ones is to use the revenue payroll notification to set up your employee records for you. It's particularly useful if you are brand new to the software, or to speed things up for you slightly. To do that, what you can do is go to the File menu, Import Export Data, and download employees from RPN. What happens here is that BrightPay connects to revenue systems, and it will retrieve all available RPNs, and you'll be presented with on screen all employees for whom an RPN has been retrieved, but there are no employee records for them in the software. So I'm just going to select 3 here. Okay, so I'm going to select 3 employees for whom I want to add to my software. Add selected employees. Click on OK. And when I go into the employee utility now, I have employee records for the employees that I selected. Just one thing to note, that when setting up employee records using the RPN, the software can only bring in the information that is included in the RPN. For example, the employee's name, their PPS number, and their revenue information. Okay, so that further manual entry may be required in each employee record for employee information that is not included in the RPN. So for example, the employee's rate of pay, their email address, okay, bank details, for example, if they're on credit transfer, annual leave entitlement, things like that. So if we go into employment here as well, you might also want to add in the departmental association as well. Okay, so just go through each employee record, filling in again the gaps and popping in the extra information you need there. Okay, another way of creating employee records is to actually set them up manually, and to do that you will simply click on New Employee at the top here on the menu bar, and just work through each of the screens, entering the employee's information accordingly. Again, I'll just use a little cheat key here just to fill in some employee information here. So just work through each of the screens, etc., filling in everything required. Okay, and I'm going to click on Save there. And you repeat that process to add more employee records in this manner. Once your employee records are set up, you are now ready to process your payroll. So I'm now going to go into the payroll utility. So I'm now ready to process my periodic payroll. Just with PAYE modernization coming into effect, PAYE modernization is introducing 2 new processes. These are the automated retrieval of revenue payroll notifications for each of your employees from revenue, and the submission of your payroll data each payroll run to revenue. Now, the very first step every pay period is that you must retrieve the latest revenue payroll notification information for each of your employees from revenue. And this is to ensure that the most up-to-date tax credits and cut-off points are applied to each employee's pay. Okay. Each pay period, you'll be given a prompt within the payroll utility. Here you can see it at the top here. And you'll be given that prompt to tell you that you need to retrieve the latest RPN for each of your employees and to apply any updates. So this is my first task every pay period. So I'm going to click on Update Employees on the menu bar, and I'm going to check for and retrieve RPNs now. BrightPay will automatically connect to revenue systems and retrieve all available RPNs for you. Okay, I'm just going to click on Continue there. Okay, and it will do a matching exercise basically. So it will then look at your current employee data and match it with the information which is within the RPNs. So I can see here that it's telling me that one of my employees that I have set up in my payroll, their information is different now. What's been retrieved in the RPN is different. So I now need to apply those new corrected updates. So I'm going to click on Apply Selected Updates here. Okay. The RPN as well is telling me that I've got 3 employees for whom an RPN has been retrieved, but they're not in my payroll. So I can add them into my payroll if need be. So I'm going to add them there. Okay. And then in the up-to-date section, this is telling me which employees match what's in the RPNs that have been retrieved. So often that might be the case each pay period if there isn't too much change to employees' tax credits and cut-off point information. So yes, so there's no further action required if employees are in the up-to-date section here. So I'm just going to close out of this screen. Okay, so once all your necessary updates have been applied, I can now return to my payroll screen here. And I'm now ready to enter my employees' pay. So the current period is always displayed at the top of the screen here. If you hover over your blue tiles, and you'll see that I'm in week 1 of my payroll, and it's for week ending Friday, the 4th of January. Okay. Employees here will be listed in what we call a summary view. It's really a payroll preview for you, where you can see all your employees at a glance. We have default columns on this summary view, but if you would like to customize this view to suit your own needs, you can do so by going to the summary button on the menu bar and choose summary columns. So for example, if you pay your staff by the hour, you may want to just see total hours worked here on this screen just as a final check. So you can indicate that you would like total hours worked to be displayed here as well. Also, maybe if you just want to show if they're a starter or a leaver in a pay period, and click OK. And that will then place those additional column items on your summary view for you. Okay. So to edit a particular employee's pay, simply click on the employee name. Various things can be added onto the pay slip here. I'll quickly just run through an overview with you. So if the employee is paid a basic gross each pay period, you simply enter it in the field provided here. So I'll say that their pay is 600. Now, when you see a spanner symbol, this means that there's extra functionality that you can perform on the pay item that you've entered. If I click the spanner here, you can see here this is where I can perform a net to gross, where I can enter an annual salary, and for the software to then convert it back to a periodic amount for me. Or it can also facilitate a mid-period pay rise here as well. So especially if you're on monthly payroll, somebody's been promised a pay rise from a certain point in the month, that will allow you to split the pay accordingly in the pay period. Okay. So that's for entering a basic gross. If an employee is hourly paid, I'll just select the next person here. Okay. I can add their hourly rate onto the pay slip here and just enter the number of standard hours that they have worked in the pay period. You can add further hourly rates by clicking on the add button here. Again, okay. And what you can do as well with the standard rate, if you click on their standard rate, you can then convert it into, say, for example, time and a half, time and a third. You'll see all the various options here for you, or to enter a multiplier of your choice. Okay, so I can say that maybe he's done 2 or 3 hours there at double time. Okay, and enter the number of hours accordingly. And you can add unlimited pay items as required to the pay slip. Okay, if the employee is paid a daily rate, that is facilitated here also. So I'm going to click on add and add a daily pay amount here. So I can say that she's done 5 days this week. Okay, and again, that daily rate can be converted into the various multipliers as required. Okay. To add more pay items, simply click on add. You can have a mix of gross, hourly pay, daily pay on the pay slip. It doesn't matter. The software also facilitates piece of work pay. So for employees paid by a unit rather than a kind of a salary or an hourly rate, you can add piece of work rates into the software as well. Okay. To set up additions on an employee's pay slip, you simply click on add in the additions and deductions section on the employee's pay slip. We have a number of preset additions already programmed into the software. So if you're looking for one of the preset ones, it suits your needs, you simply select from the listing and enter in the relevant amount there. If you wish to add an addition for which there isn't a preset option, then you can set up an addition type of your own. Simply click on add new addition type here. Type in a name for the addition, indicate what the allowed deductions are, enter amount here, and you can set a repetition as well. So whether it's to be just on this payslip only or to repeat until manually removed. You can also add this addition that you're setting up to be, I suppose, what we call a global item, so that it can be used by any employee, or if it's just specific to this employee, just leave this box unticked. Okay, and I'm going to click on save there. Again, where there's a spanner symbol, that just means there's additional functionality for the pay item. So, for example, you can instruct whether the addition is to be pensionable or not by ticking or unticking the button provided here for pension scheme deductions. And you can also set the repetition of an addition. So you can state whether it's just to be for this pay period only, to repeat until manually removed, or to repeat up to a certain date. So, for example, if you want this for the commission to be to the end of January, you can select that option here, and at that point, there on afterwards, that addition will be removed automatically for you. Okay. You can also reorder additions. So I can say I just want to move that one down and have mileage above it. Okay, and yeah, so you can tidy up the payslip to suit your needs there. Similarly, deductions work exactly the same way. So again, if you click on Add in the Additions and Deductions section, if it's to add a deduction that's already preset in the software, simply select from the listing, or you can add new deduction type here. Okay, as an example, we use Lotto. Okay, again, just tick or untick the allowed deductions, enter an amount accordingly, and also set the repetition. Okay, and whether you want to save that deduction for use by all employees. I'm going to click on save here, and that will add the deduction as well. And again, the same options are available in the edit facility here, where you can say whether it's to be pensionable or not, for example, and also to set repetition and to reorder. Okay. Finally, just on the employee's payslip, you can add a note. You can add either an employee note or an employer note, or both. An employee note will appear on the employee's payslip. The employer note will simply appear in your software. So I can add here. Just as an example, and that will then print on the employee's payslip for you. Okay. Now, once you've completed an employee's payslip, you can just click on back to the summary view here at the left-hand side, and then select the next employee and work your way through each employee accordingly. Or alternatively, you can just select an employee from the listing down the left-hand side to access their payslip. So when all your employees' pay is entered for the pay period, you are now ready to finalize your pay slips. That's the next step in your payroll process. To do so, you're going to just click on Finalise Pay Slips on the menu bar and click Finalise Pay Slips again. And this screen will now confirm how many pay slips have to be finalized here. It will also tell you what their pay date is set to be. Should you wish to amend the pay date for an employee, simply click on the little pencil symbol to the right of the employee name, and this will allow you to change the pay date to a different one as required, and then to press on save to save it. Alternatively, if you wish to batch change a pay date for a number of employees, you just select the employees for whom you wish to change and select the option Batch Set the Pay Date. And again, just enter the pay date you wish to change the selected employees to there. Okay. So when ready to finalize, simply click on OK. Okay. And you will see now that a tick will be displayed next to an employee's name down the left-hand side to indicate that their payslip for this period has now been finalized. So from the 1st of January 2019, employers will be required to submit their payroll data to Revenue every time they perform a pay run. And most importantly, this periodic submission will need to be received by Revenue on or before payment is made to the employees. this periodic submission of your payroll data to revenue is known as the payroll submission request. After finalizing a pay period, you will see that BrightPay will automatically create the payroll submission request required by revenue for you, and it will be brought to your attention on the menu bar here that the submission is outstanding. So to now submit your pay data to revenue, you're going to click on Submit to Revenue and Send PSRs to Revenue. Okay. Now, by default, all finalized employees will be marked for inclusion in the submission to revenue. And so if you wish to include all employees in the PSR, you simply click on Continue. Now, alternatively, if you only wish to submit a PSR at this point for some of your employees, you can untick any employees who you do not wish to include and click Continue. And these employees can subsequently be included in a separate PSR for the same period, but always ensuring that this submission to revenue is performed on or before payment is made to these employees. That's just one thing to be aware of there. Now I'm going to include all my employees, so I'm going to press Continue here. Okay. So what you'll be given here is a summary of your pending submission to revenue, and it will be displayed in a readable format on screen for you, which can be printed or exported or emailed as required. What this summary will give you is a kind of a summary of the submission details at the top, and then an individual breakdown for each employee included in the PSR as well. Okay, so just if you wanted just to do some final checks, for example, make sure everything's okay. When ready to do so, you click on Send to Revenue to submit your payroll data to revenue, and you'll see there that my 7 employees have been accepted by revenue there. Okay, and close out there. So that is my pay period workflow completed there. I've retrieved my RPNs, I finalized my pay slips, I've submitted to revenue. The next step then of your payroll process will be to just distribute your pay slips. Should you wish to print your pay slips, all you need to do is click the Print Pay Slip button on the menu bar here. On the left-hand side, all you need to do is select the employees for whom you wish to print the pay slips, and you'll find several options here for selecting employees. Here by clicking Select By, and you can do by department, payment method, whether they have an email address, for example, or not. So you can use the filtering options there. Okay. You then need to just choose your payslip design from the drop-down menu in the center here. Payslips can be printed on plain A4 paper, that's perfectly fine. Or you can use our BrightPay stationery, which can print 2 per page, or we also do a security payslip as well that seals for you. Okay, there's various options there. Over on the right-hand side, should you wish to customize your pay slips, you can click the Options button. And this facility allows you to add or remove certain information on the pay slip. For example, you may want to include your employer logo if you have one added into the software here, or to remove certain information. For example, you may just not want to show what the payment method is, for example, if your employees know already. I'll just tick to show notes as well. Okay, and I'm going to click on OK. Then when ready to do so, should you just wish to preview the pay slips first, simply click Print Preview, and your employee pay slips will be displayed on screen for you. Then when ready to print, you can just press the Print button to send the pay slips to your printer. Okay. Alternatively, if you would like to email your pay slips, you can do so by selecting the Email Pay Slips button on the menu bar within the Payroll utility. For you to be able to email pay slips, you do need to have your employees' email addresses entered in their employee records. And this utility will then display only those employees for whom an email address has been entered. So I just have the one employee, as you can see here in my test company today. You can also password protect the pay slips as well. Let me just pop out this utility here. Let me go into employees here. So under personal, I have the email address entered. If you go into the HR section of the employee record as well, this is where you enter the password, which will password protect the payslip. So on receipt, the recipient will need to enter the password provided to be able to access and read the payslip that's been sent to them there. Okay. So I just pop back here. So just back into email payslips. Okay. Similarly, with the email payslips utility, you can also customize the payslip by choosing which items you wish to show or not show on the payslip itself. So again, come into options and select your criteria accordingly there. Okay. You then need to enter a reply to email address. And this is so that on receipt by the recipient, that if they want to reply to the email that they've received, and the reply to email address that you enter in the software will be the person who gets the reply. So I'll just use my colleague here. Okay, you can enter a CC address as well as required if you want somebody else to receive a copy of the pay slips as well. And then you can just enter a subject for the email. We have some defaults already entered for you, and also the narrative that you want in the body text of the email on receipt. So complete accordingly. Make sure the button's ticked if you wish to password protect the pay slips, and when ready to do so, just click on send emails. So this is my first time use, so I'm just going to agree to the terms of use, and those emails will now be sent. Now they are quite quick in reaching recipients. At busy periods, we do say just give it up to an hour, just in case, especially the month end is always a busy time for emailing pay slips. So do always allow up to an hour, but usually you'll find that within a minute or so, those emails are received by the recipients. So I'll close out of here. So the final step of your pay period process then is to pay your employees. And we have a dedicated reporting facility in BrightPay just to assist you with this. This can be accessed on the menu bar in Payroll under Pay Employees. Okay. Now, for employees whose payment method is cash, we have, first of all, a cash payments report for you. And all employees whose payment method is cash will be displayed on this screen. And this report will show the breakdown of the cash payment to these employees. For employees paid by check, you'll be given a breakdown of their check payments within the check payments tab there that you can see on screen. And again, any employees paid whose payment method is credit transfer, we have the credit transfer breakdown for you by selecting the credit transfer tab here. Now, in real life environment, you will have all the employees' bank details displayed here. Obviously, I'm in a test environment, so I don't have that information to hand, but their sort code, account number, etc. will all be displayed on this screen for you. For employees paid by credit transfer, and if you are authorized to do so by your bank, a bank payment file can be created in BrightPay to upload through your banking software. And this is done by pressing the bank file option here within this utility. To be able to create your bank file, first of all, you do need to have your employer bank details set up in the software, and you do that within the employer utility and bank accounts. Going to just pop in a dummy bank account here. Okay. Okay, obviously you'll be filling this in with your exact information here. I'll just quickly pop in some dummy information here just to demonstrate the bank file. If I pop back into Payroll then, Pay Employees, if I select Credit Transfer here, so I'm just going to click on Bank File here. Okay, click on OK. And all you need to do then is just make sure that you're choosing the right file format and the right bank account. You can set up more than one bank account in the software, so just make sure you're selecting the right one. Ensure that your processing date is correct, and then when ready to do so, click Save. That will then create a bank file which you can save to a location on your computer, and all you do then is log into your banking software and upload into your banking software when required. Okay, now that is all the steps of your payroll process complete. So you'll be retrieving your RPNs, enter your employees' pay information, finalize your pay slips, submit your PSR, distribute your pay slips to your employees, and then pay your employees. One final thing that you may like to do at the end of each pay period is just to generate some reports for your records, and they can be done within the analysis utility within the software. We have a number of preset reports built into the software already for you. I suppose we see them as the most commonly used reports by payroll users, namely the payroll summary, for example, here. So within the saved report section, if I just select payroll summary here, okay, so we have default settings built in already, but you can, of course, just amend those accordingly to suit your needs. So I'm going to run report here, and that report is displayed on screen for you. All reports can be printed, they can be emailed or exported to PDF or to Excel or CSV. Okay, and then you can actually edit them as well. So if you just want to change the parameters, so for example, it could be that I only want the report for this person here. I can add and remove columns as well. I might just want to see what his PPS number is, for example. Click on OK, run report. So you can basically choose your criteria to suit your needs there as well. If you wish to create a report of your own, you can do so by clicking on New Report, selecting the parameters and all the criteria that you want in the report. So for example, I might just want to run a report on PPS numbers. Click on OK, run report, and I have my report there displayed on screen. If you've created a report that you would like to use going forward, you can then save that report. Okay. And you can add it to your saved reports here as well, just for easy access going forward, as and when you need to access it. Okay, just to finish off, I just want to talk a little bit about if you need to make any corrections. On the menu bar at the top, you have the option to reopen payslips. I'm going to click on Reopen Payslips there. And all you need to do here is select the employee or employees that you wish to reopen and make a change to. Okay, so I'm going to just say that it's my employee here. Click on OK, and that reopens their pay period for amending. I make the change. So for example, say his gross pay should have been 500, for example. Okay, and I re-finalize the payslip up after making my amendment. I'm going to click on OK here. Okay. You'll now see that BrightPay is prompting me that I now need to send a correction PSR. So where you have already submitted an original payroll submission request to Revenue and it has been received by Revenue, then when you do reopen the payslips back and make a change, you now need to report that amendment to Revenue. So what BrightPay will do is it will automatically create that correction submission for you. And you can see I'm being prompted to do that here. So I'm going to click on Submit to Revenue, and I'm going to click on the option to now send my correction PSR. Okay, select the employee, click on Continue. The screen here will just detail what's included in the submission for you, and you're going to send to Revenue here. Okay, and the correction submission has been accepted by Revenue. Okay, so many thanks for joining me on the webinar today, and so thanks very much and goodbye.